see the Lord move in for me. It's a very important thing.
Oh, it's what we
Special,
pray.
it's what we're requesting. Also, I need a touch.
Let's just stand and take these needs full, Lord.
Oh, gracious Father, Lord, we thank you for your mercy. Lord, Lord, we know each and every one of these needs, Lord. Lord, we ask you,
Turn your Bibles to the book of Acts, chapter 13. And probably be very long this morning. I'll have those Sparksville's now, center for 45 minutes. Sing for about 30 and then back up here again. But book of Acts, chapter 13, one scripture, verse of scripture out of that. It says, for David, after he had served his own generation, by the will of God, fell on sleep, and was laid unto his fathers, and saw corruption. Thank you for standing for the reading. And scripture might be a little odd with the thought that I've got on my mind, and but try to pull it together. I began to think this week about the next generation, if you will.
Right.
And the will of God for the next generation.
Right.
And a lot of times I like to look at myself and think of myself as being young, Brother Bill. But I know that to some I'm still maybe considered young. But I can look back 20 years.
Right.
In the way that things was going, and whenever the Lord really started dealing with us to step out and do something for Him,
Right.
20 plus years, and how that things was, and how that the field for the call of God
Right.
was on our life. And I began to think about that this week, and thinking about how that time has progressed.
Right.
I thought I never did meeting, but Brother Sparks had two, I think they were his cousins, and one of them was named John P. and the other one was Sidney B. And they lived up in Indiana, and I believe it was Sidney B. is the one that even after he got old, that he was always, they said he was just a kid at heart, and always joking, cutting up, and even him up in his 80s, he was flexible and could run and jump flat-footed up on the porch and everything else. He was just a very sure-footed person. But no matter how young he felt at heart, Brother Bill, there came a time when he died.
Right.
Because no matter how young he thought he felt, life expectancy was still yet coming upon him.
Right.
And he died. And I began to think about that, and I thought, we have all entered into, if you would, a race. And I began to think about the race with the baton. And I never was no foot racer, never was maybe into, if I seen any of the Olympics when I was a kid, it was usually the skiing and the bobsledding and that type of thing. The Winter Olympics, whenever the Summer Olympics is on, I was too busy outside. I'm not worried about the Olympics.
Right.
But I did see enough of it to know that in the baton races, that it was more like a type of a relay race.
Uh-huh.
There was a certain distance that each person had to run.
Right.
One individual didn't run the whole race.
Right.
It was made up of, I don't know, maybe 2, 3, 4, 5 people, whatever the race was, ever how long the race was. And but the race, like I said, it was made up by a team of at least 4 runners. And the first runner would carry the baton, and after running his specific distance, which was called the leg of the race, the runner had the baton in his hand, and he would hand it off to the next team member. The exchange of the baton must occur within a certain zone,
Right.
and within a few meters. And the timing of passing off that baton was critical.
Right. Right.
The runners did not exchange the baton within that certain zone, their team was disqualified.
Right.
The length of the race varies from 400 to 6,000 meters. In some relays, each team member ran an equal distance, but in others ran different distances. And so I began to think about that, and that the relay race is not necessarily won by the team that ran the fastest, but by successfully passing on the baton in the exchange zone.
Come on.
And I thought I began to think about that,
Yes, sir.
passing on the baton. In our text, it says, for David, after he had served his own generation, by the will of God, fell on sleep, was laid with his fathers, and saw corruption.
Yeah.
We know the story of David. David had a race that was a very difficult race. He had a race that seemed like it started out well, but there was obstacles within his race that caused him much heartache.
Yes, sir.
There was obstacles in David's race that caused him much grief, but he continued on with a heart for God.
Right.
And I thought, as I began to think about this race, I read a thing. It said Tony Wayne, in an article entitled "Passing the Baton," states that the following is needed to qualify for a good pass. He said both runners must be running so that they do not lose time.
Right.
And I began to think about that. I thought, are we running a race? A lot of people don't like to refer to life with sports analogies, but I thought, but we read throughout the Bible that it's relayed and that we're running this race. There's a race that's set before us, and I thought it's how that we run that's going to indicate how the next generation runs.
That's right.
And I thought there must be, he said there must be trust and there must be confidence that the team member will hand it over properly. And then he said a runner receives the baton cannot look back or swerve out of his lane. It requires knowledge of each other's ability. The runner passing the baton has to tell the other runner when to go. And he has to say go. If he says go too early, he won't have time to catch him and give him the baton. It also requires strict obedience to the rules.
Come on.
And I thought, I began to think about this week and began to think about passing on the baton.
Yes, sir.
I thought Thursday morning I woke up and I mowed my yard. I believe it was last Friday with the intention, Brother Bill, I'm on vacation. I'm not going to touch it all week long. But I woke up Thursday morning, I looked out there, and I just couldn't stand it, Brother David. I had to go mow. And Colin was there with me, and he likes to get on there with me, and I know it's probably dangerous, but he got on the mower with me, and we were mowing and there for a little bit, and then he got off and he came back and he put his hands on the levers of the mower, and he said, "Let me mow, Papa." Well, he didn't do too good, so I told him just keep his hands on top of mine, and as we went up through there mowing, and he began to tell me how that pretty soon that I wasn't going to have to mow the yard no more, that he was going to do it. And tell me the things that he was going to do, and he even told me how he was going to do it. He went on and to give me all the details of it, and I began to think about that, and I thought ever since we quit mowing, and Sister Catherine and I were gone for a couple of days, and this been going over and over in my mind, the specific details that he was telling me how he was going to do it.
Come on.
And I began to think about that, and I thought in order to pass it on, I thought I'm not extremely real particular about the yard, but I do want to mow a certain way. And I mow it, and with those zero turns, you can stripe the yard, and I want it everything a certain way, and I try not to get them too crooked, and that's hard to do when the yard's as bumpy as mine. But he has took notice of how I have done it. He's watched me mow it enough. He's rode on the mower with me enough, and he began to take notice of that. And I began to think about on the aspect and the lookout of this walk this race that we're running. I thought, are we taking strict notice of how things must be done?
Come on.
How that baton must be passed on.
Oh, yes.
I thought there's a lot that's been before us that have went on, and I thought they ran their race well.
Yes.
And I thought there's a lot of us that if we've watched them go on, some have took up maybe the calling that they had, the position that they had in the church, and I thought that they'll always be missed. But I thought there must be somebody there if we're going to keep things going that's willing to pick up where they left off and continue on with it. And I thought that's just like passing off the baton in this relay race. I thought everything had to be down to a specific timing.
Yes,
I've often thought about, like I said, I never did pay much attention to these relay races, but as I began to think about this and begin to look on it, I never realized that everything had to be in such precise timing in order to win that race. If he hollered go too quick and the next runner took off, he was already worn. He was already tired, Brother David. He couldn't catch up with him to pass the baton off. So everything had to be precise. And I thought when we're running this race, everything's got to be in the way that God would have it to be.
Yes, sir.
I thought thinking about David, we can read in the book of 1 Chronicles, chapter 28, verse 2. It says, "Then David the king stood up on his feet and said, 'Hear me, my brethren, and my people. As for me, I had in my heart to build an house of the rest for the ark of the covenant of the Lord, for the footstool of our God, and he made ready for the building.'" I thought as I began to think about that, in order for David in this race that he was running, in order for things to get accomplished that God wanted accomplished, I thought David had to have a dream.
Right.
And I thought David had a dream to build the house of the Lord. Despite his good intentions, I thought the ample preparation, it remained an unfulfilled dream.
Right.
I thought David had a desire to see the house of God resurrected. As we read in the scripture, he knew that the importance of having a place for the ark of God to rest, for the Spirit of God to come down and move upon. And I thought that David had such a dream for that he began to make lots of preparation for the house. And I thought we know the scripture of how he went in and he began to gather the timbers and the stones and all the things that was necessary to build the house. I thought David had a desire to see the work of God done.
Yes.
But I thought David also knew that there was a time when David had to move on. We read in our text that David, that he served his generation by the will of God. David done all that he could do for the time. And I thought that some of us, we're in this race. And I thought some of us are young, some of us are aging. And I thought, and as life would have it, as some in the past have went on, some of us will go on. And I thought, but are we running this race? Are we fulfilling the dream that God would have us to, fulfill?
Right.
And he said, well, are we running a race or are we dreaming? I thought David had a desire to see the things of God.
Yes.
And I thought David had a dream. He had a will to see the house of God in its finest state, if you would.
Yeah.
He had a desire for those things. But I thought, but the thing about David's dream is that David's dream had to become Solomon's destiny.
Right.
And I thought David passed the baton to Solomon. And like I said, David's dream became Solomon's destiny. Chapter 28, verse 9, it says, And thou, Solomon, my son, know thou the God of thy fathers, and serve him with a perfect heart and a willing mind. For the Lord searcheth all hearts, and understandeth all indignations of the thoughts. If thou seek him, he will be found of thee. But if thou forsake him, he will cast thee off forever. Take heed now, for the Lord hath chosen thee to build an house for the sanctuary. Be strong and do it. I thought David had a great dream, a great desire to see the work of God. But because, like I said, because maybe the past failures of David's life, or the things that had transpired throughout his life, even though he had a desire and he had gathered the things up, it was his son's destiny to see this great temple built.
Oh, yeah.
And I thought, never was there ever a temple such magnificent with such beauty as Solomon's temple.
Right.
And I thought, because it was the destiny of God for him to fulfill. I thought when time came that David went on to be with his fathers, I thought that he passed the baton on with all the things that was gathered up for Solomon to fulfill the will of God.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Yes.
And I thought, are we getting things to where that it needs to be that others can fulfill the will of God?
Come on.
We're living in such a critical time.
Yes, we are.
Such a critical time.
Yes.
And I thought, everywhere you look, it seems like sin is so prevalent.
Yeah.
But I thought we're living in a time when we need to be greater and more busy with the work of God than ever before. But if we're not careful, we will become so busy with the other things of life that we forget about the things of God.
Come on.
I thought I was talking to a guy at work the other day, and we was talking about preaching and teaching, and he asked me how much time and preparation did I put in to my service, my sermon, he called it, or my Sunday school lesson, and I began to think about that, and I thought, no matter what time I put into it, Brother David, I don't put enough.
Right.
I thought, because we have so much that's going on, and so much that we've got to do,
Right.
and we can blame it on whatever.
Yes, sir.
But I thought, are we really giving God the time that He needs?
Come on.
I thought, are we really? Are we setting a precedent that the ones that are coming up behind us can understand what it means to sacrifice
All right.
for God?
All right.
And I thought we're living, like I said, it's very urgent that we fulfill the will of God.
Yes, sir.
And Solomon, it was his destiny to build the house of God. David told him. But I thought, but the thing about it is, not only is it one's dream and one's destiny, but it's the design that was set forth by God.
Yes, sir.
And I thought, we may look around and see how circumstances have fulfilled and come about, and I thought, but it's all been played out in the hand of God.
That's right.
1 Chronicles 28:11 says, Then David gave to Solomon his son the pattern of the porch, of the houses thereof, and of the treasuries, therefore, in the upper chambers thereof, and of the inner parlors thereof, and the place of the mercy seat, and the pattern of that had by the spirit of the courts of the house of the Lord, and of the chambers round about, of the treasures of the house of God, and the treasuries of the dedicated things. I thought, like I said, David had a dream, and Solomon had a destiny.
Yes.
But I thought we were committed of God's design, and I thought to fulfill the things that God would have us to do.
That's right.
And I thought it's not by chance that we are where we're at, but it's through the will of God.
That's right.
And I thought, are we passing on like we need to? I thought we're passing on the baton to win. And I thought, I'm afraid that sometimes we're passing on the baton just so that we can say, hey, I've done my part.
Yeah.
And I thought, there's a big difference in that.
Right.
I mean, if you're running and then you just pass it on just so the next one can grab it and go. But I thought, have we instructed them the way that it needs to be done to make sure that it's fulfilled? Like I said, that baton runner or that relay runner, as he ran and he passed on the baton, he had to give the specific orders to tell them when to go in order to pass it off correctly. And I thought the Lord is dealing with us to pass this on. Notice he said that the passing of the runners they had to be at the same pace. And I thought, is our dream going to be our destiny to fulfill God's design? I thought, are we dreaming about the other things in life, or what we want, what God wants? You know, I can remember being a child and always having those big dreams of, whenever I get grown, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that. Brother Bill, when he came in this morning, he'd stopped at some gas station this morning, and there was a Corvette out there with an old man driving it. And he took a picture of it, sent it to Sister Jessie. And, that old man probably, when he was a young boy, thought, man, one of these days I'm going to have a Corvette. He probably thought he was going to have it in his prime of his life. But he had to wait till he was an old man before he could afford it. But I began to think about that, and I thought, a lot of times we look at those things and we desire those things, and it would be nice to have those things. We were out on the bypass the other day, and Brother Jim back there used to have a Corvette. Occasionally he'd let me drive it, and I enjoyed it. And but we were sitting there, and there was a brand new one sitting there. And at first I didn't like them, but Brother Bill, the more I looked at it, the better I liked it. And I thought, I do like that. But then there was a 4-door Chevrolet pickup truck pulled up there beside it, and I thought, if I had the money to buy that, I would buy that. Because it would be more feasible. Have a new pickup truck. But as we get older, we realize the importance of things.
Right.
And what we thought we would like to have, other than what we really need.
Right.
And I thought a lot of times we do that same thing spiritually. We look ahead and we say, I would like to. But is it what God has designed?
Right.
And is it in the
God.
destiny of God for your life,
Jesus,
for His design?
Jesus,
That's what I'm trying to
Jesus,
say.
Jesus.
Are we doing the things that God wants? The importance of God. I thought, are we the ones? We've seen some that have passed the baton down through several generations, and they've passed it down, and they've kept running. But I thought, if we're not careful, we're living in the generation that if when we pass off the baton, there's going to be some stumbling. It's not going to continue on like it needs to be.
God, have mercy.
And I began to think about that, and I mentioned earlier in my Sunday school, we was listening to Brother Savage yesterday, and I was beginning to listen to him preach, and Brother Savage is an old man, and he still pastors, but he's up in years, and he began to talk about whenever he first started preaching, and he called himself a dude. He said he had on a pair of white cowboy boots with big gold wings on them. and he had on a white suit and a bright red necktie, and ruby red cufflinks, and a ruby red tie pin. I just couldn't see Brother Savage dressed like that. But he said that's the way he was dressed. And he was preaching a revival. And he said the pastor was up fixing to turn the service over to him. And he said God began to deal with him while he was there preaching a revival, and said, I want that. And he said, I sort of ignored the Lord, and he said, directly the Lord said, I want that. And he said, I reached down and took off that ruby red tie clasp and those ruby red cufflinks, and he said, I dropped them in my pocket and said, Lord, you can have them. And he went in and he said, we had revival. Yeah. And he began to talk about that, and he began to talk about the difference between Bible holiness and personal convictions. And I thought, and you said, well, what's that got? I'm talking about passing on the baton.
Right.
I'm talking about passing on this way of holiness into the next generation. And I thought, we're living in a time that it's sad to say, but David, that it's hard to get our young people to simply live Bible holiness.
Right.
Much less understand what it means to have a personal conviction that's only between them and God.
Right.
There's nothing that we can read in the Word of God that's in black and white and says you cannot do that. But it was in our prayer time that when we was talking to the Lord, that He began to lay it up on our heart and give us a desire to draw closer to Him. And because of that, we began to lay those things aside. Just a simple personal conviction of something between us and God.
Right.
This morning at the house, Colin was sitting there and I don't drink pop. And he said, Papa, what would you do if you were out there and you was thirsty and the only thing you had to drink, you couldn't buy no iced tea, all you had was pop? I said, I drink water. And he said, well, what if you didn't have no water? I said, then I'd just have to be thirsty. He said, but there was the pop. And I said, but he just couldn't understand. No, I don't think it's wrong to buy pop. We went to Walmart yesterday and we bought several 2 liters for Sister Kathy and Colin and them to drink. So there's nothing wrong with that. But it's just something that God dealt with me. He said, just come a little closer. Draw a little closer to me. And I thought, if we're going to pass on the baton, I thought, well, then we've got to have them to understand. Sure, we've got to have them understand the biblical holiness, the things that thus saith the Word of God. But we've also got to teach them to understand how to draw into those personal things between them and God so that they can draw close to Him. And I thought, are we passing on the baton? Or are we going to be that generation that finishes the race? And I thought, to be quite honest with you, I'm looking for a time when the Lord's going to return.
Yeah.
We were driving in yesterday, and as we went into Sevierville, Tennessee, Thursday, and as we began to come in, and used to when you hit Knife Works, it seemed like it was forever before you seen anything else. And now you hit Knife Works, or actually you hit the Bass Pro Shop, and then there's little shops all the way down. All the way through Sevierville, Pigeon Forge. And as we was coming back out, we came back up and went up Veterans Parkway to go over to Dolly Parton Parkway to come out. And Veterans Parkway, just a couple of years ago, there was absolutely nothing on it. And we was coming up through there, and Sister Kathy said, if time lasts, our kids will drive up through here and say, I remember when there was nothing on this, and now it's fully developed. There's motels and restaurants and all this stuff up through here. She said, if time lasts. And I thought, are we going to be that generation that passes on the baton? Or are we going to be the one that's in the last leg of the race?
Right.
That's something to think about.
That's right.
And as I begin to think about that baton race, that marathon, as I read it, and it said that there was 4 runners, 4 legs of the race. What leg of the race are we in? Are we going to pass it on with all ease, keep things moving, so the next generation can climb to higher elevations than we have? Or are we in the last leg of the race?
Right.
Are we the ones that finish this up? If so, how are we going to finish? Are we going to finish it up to the design of God, or to our own will? And I thought that's a lot to think about. I thought Solomon, he was the one to get to build the temple. And I thought David gathered up all the stuff. Solomon didn't have a thing to do with gathering up the materials. That was done. And I thought Solomon didn't have a thing to do with the design of it.
Right.
That was done. All Solomon got to do was build it.
Right.
And I thought it's not up to us to gather up the formula of holiness. The
Right.
formula is already laid out for us.
Right.
And I thought it's not up to us of how it's all going to come about and be finished. It's up to us to see that it gets fulfilled in the design of God. As I get us a song this morning, I hope I've helped you. But I thought, are we running this race the way that we want it, or the way that God wants it done? And I thought, I want to be able to pass it on, if that's the will of God. But I thought, if it's the will of God for me to finish this leg of the race up, and Him blow the trumpet, and us going to be with Him, I thought, I want to be running with all diligence, but I want to be doing it to the best of my ability. I don't want to be slacking. I thought it means a lot to say that you've done your best.
Right.
And I thought, I want to be the one that's done my best. As they give us a song, I hope I've helped you this morning. I feel like I've struggled through Sunday school pathetically. But I thought, as I began to think about that this week, I'm thinking about how we're going to pass it on. You know, we've got it all laid out. This is the way I want it done. I thought, we want to get it done that way. Is it going to be passed on that